All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. I'm your host, Frazier.
Yes.
I'm here with my co-host, Kenny. And we are here doing Invincible, the first 4 episodes of season 3. So we have, since last year, we have been taking it piece by piece with every show that we watch instead of just trying to do a full season of something. Because one, it extends the content itself, but it also gives us more time to digest it through the podcast without having to try to cram everything within a 2-hour recording. I don't think that's fair to a lot of shows.
It's hard. Like Invincible, for example, the first 4 episodes is 4 hours, right?
Yep.
And then the whole season's 8 hours.
Yeah.
So discussing the entire season of 8 hours in roughly 2 hours, obviously it can be done. I'm sure you can find a YouTube video that does it in 30 minutes, but you gloss over things. And sometimes we really like to dive in and really chew down on specific points or something.
Yeah.
Some shows have more to chew into than others, but yeah, it's nice to chew into it, and you get to analyze parts of the show that maybe would usually get glossed over.
Exactly. And I think that this new season of Invincible, so far this show to me doesn't have a bad season. I mean, this one, we haven't seen all of it yet. So just to be clear, as of right now of this recording, Kenny and I have only seen episodes 1 through 4.
Yes.
I have not started episode 5 yet. I will probably right after this call, but I have not seen the next 4. So we're only going to be focusing on the first half of the season. And this actually works in Invincible pretty well. I don't know if they do it intentionally, but
yeah, it does feel like they the end of the first 4 episodes for this season and season 2 and maybe season 1, but I don't remember.
I don't remember season 1, but yeah,
it feels like it almost feels like the first 4 episodes is specifically half season. I know it's literally mathematically half the season, but it's they know okay, this is the end of this part of whatever story arc or whatever, and then we're going into the next phase of it or whatever.
Yes, because you get the biggest reveal in episode 4 of the entire show so far, I would say, but more importantly, the biggest reveal of season 3 comes in episode 4 with the Viltrumites. And this season has one of my favorite quotes, which I think is actually so far the theme of these first 4 episodes and probably the theme of the whole season. It comes from Cecil, but it comes from Cecil's old mentor, Radcliffe, who says, we can either be the good guys or we could be the guys that save the world, but you cannot be both. And I love that quote so much because on one hand, people might think when you hear that, well, why wouldn't the good guys also be the guys that save the world? But we know from watching Cecil act in multiple seasons now, it's a little bit muddier than that, right? It's not as straightforward as, oh, the good guys save the world and the guys who save the world happen to also be good guys. Well, Omni-Man has been saving the world for a long time, but look at him, right? He is definitely not what you would consider a good guy, at least in seasons 1 and 2. The acts that he committed were definitely not what you would consider to be a good guy. And especially, I mean, even as early as episode 1 of the entire series, what Omni-Man did would definitely not be considered, a good guy. But he's also the same guy that saves the world often, right? He is the protector, the strongest person on the entire planet for the last however many years. And it's just interesting that they're saying this quote now. I love it. I think that it makes a lot of sense. And I'm seeing how this theme is playing out throughout this season. The other theme, I think, and it kind of comes with that quote too, it kind of ties in. But the biggest theme to me this season so far is hypocrisy. I think that they have been focusing so hard on being a hypocrite, and they're doing it through multiple lenses, but one of the main ones is Oliver, because Oliver keeps questioning why he's not allowed to do certain things, but other people can and have. And it's cool because it's a child, technically. Oliver is a child. He's aging extremely fast, by the way. But he's a child, so he's still in that innocent phase where he's said, they say kids say the darnest things. They also say that kids just speak the truth, right? They just kind of say the truth. So when Invincible tries to tell him, or Mark or his mom, Debbie, tries to tell him not to do something, he's like, but you do it. And then it's we don't kill people. It's but you killed. And that gets thrown up multiple times. Cecil says the same thing to Mark. He's like, oh, we don't, I don't kill people, whatever like that. It's well, you did kill someone to protect those you love. You killed, what's the guy, Angstrom Levy?
Angstrom, yeah.
You killed Angstrom. And he's like, yeah, but that was different. He was like, you did it to protect the people you love. You did it because he attacked your mom. He fucking broke your mom's wrist or arm or whatever. And you snapped and killed him, which, fair. If somebody did that to my mom, I probably would off them too. No judgment here. If somebody in my face broke my mom's fucking arm, I'm going to do everything in my power to cause physical harm to that person. That's just the reality of the situation. I don't think I would be able to contain.
He was on some bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm still mad that he was on some bullshit. It was his fault. It was all Like, he fucked it up.
He did. But I like this whole thing about hypocrisy and it's being thrown around a lot. Also, Mark constantly saying, I'm not like my dad. And throughout the past couple seasons, he's been trying to be as distant from his dad as possible when it comes to the way they act. But now, in this season more than any other, he is really going full Viltrumite, right? Like,
yeah, he's pissed. I mean, it's interesting because, like, he's still young, right? He's 19, 18,
19,
whatever.
Yeah, they say.
And he's still young. He's still emotional, and he's still relatively new to his powers, etc. But he is ultimately still like a good person. He's a good guy, and he wants to do right by people, etc. And he still has like a moral compass. But he also can still get really angry and blah blah blah. So it was interesting. I'm pretty sure it was episode 1 where they go into the White Room, and he's like, Cecil's like, this room's to protect me, and he's like, protect you from what?
Yeah.
And he's just like, from you. And
yeah.
He's like, what the fuck do you need protection from me for? Like, da da da. And they're arguing and shit. And he's like, you told me this and that. And they're having this back and forth. And then he says something, and then Cecil's like, is this what you call it? Because you're scaring the fuck out of me.
Yo, bro.
Like,
I love that scene. I love that scene for multiple reasons. It reminds me of a scene from Teen Titans where Robin was fighting Invisible Slade. And towards the end of the episode, the Teen Titans find Robin all beat up. I mean, he's fucked up bad. And they're like, Robin, relax, like, calm down. What's going on? And he's like, what? You can't see him? You think I did this to myself? And he's raging the fuck out. And he looks crazy and deranged and super not self-aware in that moment. And everyone else around him is like, just calm down, put down the stick, like, put down your bow staff, put down your weapons. We're your friends. We're not here to like attack you. We just want to understand what's going on. You're very angry right now, and you're kind of not in your right state of mind. And when he barges into the White Room, when Mark barges into the White Room, it's funny because Cecil's like, this room is to protect me from you. But at that moment, Mark feels like, why do you need protection from me? But you as the viewer, the way I felt watching it, I was like, yo, I'm terrified for Cecil right now. Like, you feel it, but Mark doesn't feel it, more importantly. And that disconnect from reality, where Mark is like, why do you need protection from me? The fact that he felt the need to ask that question after you've been choking this man several times this season, like, you've been choking this man out, telling him that if you ever come near my family again, I'll kill you. Like, straight up, if you ever come near my family again, I will murder you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you've been threatening my life all season, bro. So when he comes in and he's like, what do you need protection from me for? That scared me, because that means that you are not connected to reality anymore. You are somewhere else. And that is, like, I guess the definition of power tripping, right? Like, you're just power tripping.
Yeah, I mean, he's not aware fully of like what's happening, because like in his mind, like, Cecil's the one, he's like the authority figure, he's the one that's like above him and stuff, and then he always has like a plan or a power or whatever. And then also he views Cecil as the one that's usually underhanded. Like, if from Mark's point of view, if there's a tier list of like, good guy to bad guy, he would be above Cecil. So he's like, I'm a good guy, why would you ever need protection from me? And it's not connecting the Mark that like he's Superman, like he's, other than fucking Omni-Man, like, nobody on the planet is comparable to Mark. Like, he can murder everybody. So, like, to him, it's not computing that, like, there's a reason why people can be fucking scared of you.
Also, now that you say that about how Mark is right now without Omni-Man on the planet, he is technically the strongest thing walking. He's a Viltrumite. So at the very least, even if he isn't currently, his species eventually becomes that, on this planet. Even if right now, like, Dr. Seismic can still fuck with him, like Adam Eve could probably do a couple things or whatever, other heroes, they can jump him and beat him up. But at the end of the day, it's like having a Saiyan, sure, a Namekian is powerful too, but a Saiyan is always eventually going to outclass them, and it won't be close after a while. Like, that's the reality of it. You have Superman on the planet, and then you have other heroes who are powerful. Like, the Flash is broken. He's not Superman. He's broken. Like, that's kind of what it feels like with Mark. And everyone knows it. Everyone's aware that, like, you're the biggest threat on this planet, bro. You have to take that into account. Speaking of his strength, I like that this season opened up with an arc of him training. So that was cool.
Yeah.
His body also physically is bigger. Like, they just are drawing him more muscular now, I noticed.
They also keep drawing his ass. I don't know why.
I did notice that too, but that's also because of reasons. But like, I did notice.
There was, in episode 1, right? There's a scene where he's like flying and he's pushing like one of the worm things.
Yeah. And
like specifically in that scene, they have him drawn with like his ass tooted in the air. And it looks so silly. Like, his ass, like, he's presenting his ass. I was like, whoa.
I don't know. I don't know if I was just being perverted or if it was like the drawing is slightly different than I remember. But in general, I do feel like Mark's body is being highlighted more in all areas, like not even just his ass, but I just feel like in general, when I was watching, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be like, if my mind's going somewhere else, like what's going on. But I do just genuinely feel like in all aspects, he's being drawn bigger. You can take that however you want. But
yeah.
He's stronger, and they show a montage of the things that he's doing to get there. So there's like this machine that Cecil, I guess, created or whatever, and he is lifting the fuck out of it. He's bench pressing this gigantic metal thing. I don't even know what you would call it. It looks like a fucking upside down pyramid.
Because before that, he's doing various things. They have him practicing doing all these different things around the globe. And then he lifts like this glacier. And then after he lifts the glacier, somebody says, well, that's the heaviest thing on Earth.
Yeah.
Like, we just had him lift the heaviest thing on Earth. Like, what do we do now to like train him? And he's like, oh, we'll figure something out. And so then next they create that fucking machine that you're talking about that I guess like creates weight or whatever. And he's bench pressing that. And they're like, we're gonna have to upgrade it to like make it heavier.
Yeah, we're already in the process of trying to upgrade it now because he was pushing that shit up like nobody's business. It just wasn't even a challenge to him, honestly, the way he was pushing it up. And
yeah,
I like that in the first couple scenes, he seems to be very calm and collected. He seems to be in his right state of mind. So the season to me started off where I didn't know that it was going to go where Mark is starting to become almost villainous. Like, I'm going to just call it out for what it is. This season just has a turn to it with his character. I mean, even his costume changed to a dark version of it.
Yeah, the blue-black.
The blue-black looks evil. Like, his eyes are black. It only is 2 colors now, and the colors they're cool. Like, I like blue and I like black. Seeing them together the way they are for his costume, with specifically, I guess, the eyes being black, makes him look evil. And them putting it on him right after he did some pretty, like, heinous shit, I think was on purpose, right? Like, he gets that new costume right after, he fucking gets angry at Cecil, right? And he's all raging, like he's roid raging out. Then he coincidentally gets this costume and he puts it on. He's looking at himself and he kind of feels like he doesn't like it, but he doesn't know how to voice that, I guess. Yeah. But
I at that point when they get the new outfit, right? And then Oliver, his little brother, gets a new outfit. First of all, it's just Omni-Man's outfit, but he's like, I'm Omni Boy or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, oh man, he told me the O was for Oliver. And I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, but it's the same fucking O. I was like, I don't give a fuck what he said it was for.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same O. Anybody that sees that is going to draw the connection to Omni-Man. Like, you can't sit here and act like you don't know what the fuck you just designed.
Not only that, but you designed Omni-Man's costume, I assume, too, right?
Yeah, he did.
So, I didn't understand how the guy who designs the costumes, maybe I missed, like, maybe Omni-Man's costume is his original one from Viltrumite or something. I don't know, or Viltrum. But I think
no, he designed it. He designed it.
So there's no excuse. He's just being ridiculous. Like, you're being fucking ridiculous.
He was being ridiculous. He was like, oh, he told me the O was for Oliver. I was like, that's crazy.
I almost felt like the guy who designed the costumes was, it almost gave me breaking the fourth wall vibes. Doesn't it seem like he's not a part of the story in that moment? Like, the whole, you made a costume for Mark that blatantly looks evil. Like, it does not, that costume that Mark has on for the second half of, I should say, not the second half, but like...
Yeah, I know what you mean. Second half of the first half.
Yeah, the second half of the first half, that costume that he wears, even when he goes into like the little episode 4 part where he's in a different dimension or a different multiverse, and that world is all destroyed and shit because of him, apparently. Like, that costume is fitting when he's in that world, and it stands out so much in a bad way when he's on regular Earth that he comes from. I just think that, like, when the guy made it, and then he has Oliver in an Omni Boy costume, something about that scene and him pretending like he was surprised by oh shit, I didn't think about that. It gave me like the director or the writer is that guy who makes the costumes. And that kind of makes sense too if you think about it. Like, in that moment, he just felt like he wasn't a part of the show, but he was kind of like a guy looking at the screen and being like, look at the change in tone here.
I see what you mean.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it might be a little meta what I'm saying, but when I saw that, I was like, how does he not know that this costume looks evil? Like, that shit looked evil to me. The black eyes just did it for me. I'm like, bro, why are his eyes the color black? Like, he looks like a bug or something evil.
You know?
And bugs are evil
try
to
to
me.
look cool.
Yeah. But I like the training montage. I like him being dipped in lava for extended periods of time. And he's like, yo, if I keep doing this, I'm going to need a lot more costumes. Just by the way, he's fighting some 8-year-old overgrown monster thing that was in season 2. Like, he was just fighting that.
Yeah. I think, by the way, the costume thing, that's crazy. I would just go in. Just like, be naked. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not wasting 40 fucking costumes. Just like, be naked, bro. Like, just go in there.
I tend to agree. I mean, it's like they've seen you in every which way but loose, you know? So,
yeah, like, what are we doing
Cecil
here?
has been spying on you forever. I like, we're all over the place, but I like that one line where Mark finds some kind of spy device outside of his house. He destroys it, and then he naturally, because he doesn't know where it came from, he's trying to get it analyzed, and nobody can tell him where it came from. So naturally, he goes to Cecil, and he's pissed. He goes into the Pentagon. He fucking destroys a part of the Pentagon and breaks in, destroys a bunch of those, I don't know, undead monster things. And then he gets to Cecil, and Cecil straight up tells him, like, bro, if we wanted to spy on you, you wouldn't know we were spying on you. Which basically just means, yes, we are spying on you, first of all. Like, let's be clear here. Let's not be dumb.
I love when Bobby Hill, I don't remember his real name, but he just looks like Bobby Hill.
Donald?
And I've always called him Bobby Hill. Yeah, Donald.
Fucking Donald, bro. Not Bobby Hill.
Dude, he's Bobby Hill, bro. He
is Bobby Hill, though. He's drawn like him.
Yeah, 100%. So when Bobby Hill was like, after Invincible leaves, and he goes like, he says something, and he's like, analyze that or whatever, and then he goes like, yeah, but we are spying on him. He's like, yeah, I know, but not with that. He's like, I don't know what that is. I want to find out who is spying, like, because I don't know whose that is. We got to find out who is spying on him, because like that's a person of interest for whatever reason.
Yeah, like if somebody is spying on him, that's not us, and surely we want to know who that is, and that technology is not ours either.
Yeah, if I remember the voice correctly, I think it was Angstrom, which
it is
kind of made me annoyed because I'm fucking done with him. Like I was so happy that he was dead, and now he's back.
I'm glad that we're on the same page there. I didn't know what to expect, because sometimes we have differing opinions about things, but I don't really care for Angstrom Levy being brought back into the storyline at all. I thought that his arc was actually complete.
Yeah, well, we can take this moment for me to talk about like one of my major gripes. So overall, I want to just say I really liked it, but a gripe kind of surfaced in this season for me.
Let's hear it.
And it was the fact that like
have it too.
It's the fact that this show is like a really bloody and gory show where like people die, and it's like these like serious superheroes and etc. But now in season 3, people don't die. And like in season 2 and season 3, like we have Rex getting shot in the fucking head, Duplicate being murdered, the other girl that can like shrink and grow, like dying, like everyone fucking like died. And then like there's like these, like they have these crazy super regenerative like technology, and everybody's just like alive again.
Yeah,
and it's
the
like
circumstances that everybody survived is also ridiculous.
So like everyone, like no one died. Like people go through these gruesome deaths, and then like they're just not dead. And so it kind of like
stakes.
So then when somebody actually dies, it makes me go like, well, why? How did they die? Like how is that even possible that they died? Because like they can just be brought back to life by all these crazy ways. And like Angstrom Levy coming back, it's like I thought he was dead, and then he's back.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just makes me go, why are the original Guardians of the Globe dead?
Bro, I knew you were going to go there once I saw it.
Like, why are they dead? About. Like they just, you mean to tell me that if you look at the flashback with Cecil, which was an awesome fucking flashback. So just to be clear, this gripe I have is in a vacuum. This is a specific gripe for the show as a whole, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other things that I really like. And even where this gripe shows up, that doesn't mean there's moments where that gripe is that aren't awesome. For example, the Cecil flashback is fucking great.
I thought it was amazing.
There's a part where they show him go into this place. He's like going after like some rebels or whatever, and there's like this gas. And like if that gas is near you for like 0.0 seconds, you start fucking melting.
Yes, and literally the skin on your body starts coming off.
Yeah, and so we learn that all of Cecil's skin is fake except for that one part of skin. He's like, I kept like the one part. So anyway, but these two like villains, he fucking locks them in the box that the gas is coming from. So they're in the box.
Yeah.
And the gas coming out of the cracks in the box almost completely kills Cecil, melt his whole body except for like one piece of fucking skin. These villains are trapped in this box. We find out that those villains are either are saved, survived by like Cecil's boss at the time, or they're cloned or reincarnated or whatever it may be. My point is, you can't fucking tell me that Cecil didn't have a way of either saving the life or straight up cloning the original Guardians of the Globe. Like, I don't fucking... By season 3 now, like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
You know, this is a really good point, and I didn't really think about this too much, but I was annoyed when Duplicate came back, and then obviously they gave her shit that she was alive and just hiding out and living her, like she's playing house with the Immortal. I thought that was ridiculous because, again, like you said, last season, we watched the whole Guardians get OD'd on. Like, they got murdered bad. And I remember watching it like, yo, that was crazy the way they got killed. They got killed. They got brutalized, bro. So
and they're all alive.
Every single person.
None of them are dead.
It's just fine. And I can't believe that none of them died. Like, there were no stakes in that. In general, I don't like when any story refuses to have real stakes with their characters. I'm not saying kill your characters off rapidly, because that's not necessary. Even though I think that dying in a world like this is normal, though. So
yeah, and also I'm not asking for everybody to like be killed. It's just that there was episode 1 kills the Justice League.
Yeah, it does.
And then like they don't come back. Other than the Immortal, but his name is the Immortal, and we understand why he's able to come back. It gets explained. But then, like, the rest of them, like, you get the new Guardians of the Globe, they get murdered. We watch Rex get shot in the head.
Yeah.
They all survive. And then the only tragedy is, like, Duplicate. And it's like, okay, it's weird that they all survived that, but, like, someone died. And it's like, and it felt like it grounded it. It had stakes, etc. But then at the end of the season, it's like, oh, Duplicate's alive too. And it's like, so wait, nothing happened?
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me there was no? What the fuck?
That's one of the things I don't like this about Dragon Ball Super either. This happened in Dragon Ball Super and the Tournament of Power. Amazing arc, by the way. Pretty much the only arc of Dragon Ball Super I watched outside of the movies, which technically they're arcs too. But like the Tournament of Power is amazing. Everyone remembers how iconic that was. Great stuff, right? Great fighting, character development, you get a lot. And then at the end of it, there's a wish that just casually brings back every single universe that got wiped off the fucking face of existence by Zeno, whatever his name is, which I also don't like a character like that existing, but whatever. But like, there were no stakes in that whole thing because so many people died and so many universes got wiped out. People are fighting for their universes. You know how many, the stakes couldn't be higher. Fighting for your universe, bro, the stakes could not be higher. So then for you to get to a point where it's like, all right, none of that mattered. Like all of that shit just snapped. They're all back. I was like, oh, that's such a nasty ending to like what could have been a really deep and dark moment. Death happens, bro. Like people die. And I get it in Dragon Ball. You know, one of the things about Dragon Ball is that they establish that it's a world where people get resurrected by Dragon Balls. That is like one of the premises of Dragon Ball, but that still doesn't give it a pass to set up such high stakes and then just completely disregard them, because then it will make you always say, well, none of this really matters though, because even if this villain is, you know, the end all be all, he can wipe out 6 universes with the snap of a finger and Goku can only stop him with this new form or whatnot. Yeah, they'll just wish everything back. And that's kind of how it feels with this, because now that we're finding out they have technology in Invincible, like Kenny is saying, that literally just brings back everybody no matter what. Cecil, by all rights, in that flashback, I thought that they showed a little too much of him dying, because I was like, oh, did he die? Like, did the real one die? And this one is a clone?
I thought they were going to show like that Cecil was actually in the same situation that Donald was in, that Cecil was like an android.
I didn't think he was real after. Bro, his eyeball fell out the socket. Like his skin melted off his face and the eyeball drooped down. I said, oh, Cecil died. I was like, surely Cecil died in that moment. And so did those other 2 Americanized heroes, the terrorists, right? The American terrorists. I was like, surely they died too. But then it's like, no, we reformed those people. And we've been reforming actually every single criminal, which that's a conversation too that we can get into later. But like, I like the concept of that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But resurrecting everyone is a bit annoying. Like, no, for spoilers for One Piece, but like, imagine if Ace came back in One Piece. That would be so fucking crazy, because I feel like so much of the motivation for what Luffy is doing, sure, plot A is become the Pirate King. That's always been his motivation. So like Ace or not, that was always plot A. But there's these other plots that I think are also important in One Piece. One of them being that I have a brother and I do want to meet up with my brother and like have, you know, moments, and I just bringing him back would be so disingenuous and just so fucked up for the whole story and his motivations for things, like when he's doing Red Hawk and shit like that. What is the point? Your brother's back. Like, it just, I agree with you 100% that just having characters resurrect every single time they die will start to make you look at death in the show as not something to take seriously.
Yeah, and also, like, not only does it kind of harm the future of the show, like, and I'm sure there's like 100% we're going to get some real deaths again. Like at some point, they're not going to, like, not every character from here on out is going to be invincible. Not intended, but like there's going to be deaths, right? But for right now, a lot of the deaths feel like, well, I mean, there's not deaths. They just like,
Angstrom's alive, Cecil's alive, Donald's alive, the entire Justice League is alive.
the new Justice League, and it's because it creates like, I don't want to call it a plot hole, but it feels kind of like a plot hole that the original Guardians of the Globe Justice League, it kind of feels like a plot hole that they're not alive right now. Maybe, I know Invincible has like a really long comic, as far as I know it's complete. Maybe somewhere in there they do get brought back. Like maybe later on, like we find out like when they bring back fucking whatever their names are, like the Flash and the Wonder Woman, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense because we knew this would happen. But then even then, it's still just like they have way too good regeneration powers. Like I don't know, like their regeneration technology is crazy.
So that is a legitimate gripe, and I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so let's transition over to, unless you have something else to say about that, but I think
no, that's that. Yeah, no.
I think we covered that kind of comprehensively.
Yeah.
So the other thing I like is, and I kind of alluded to this in the season 2 podcast, or one of the season 2 podcasts for Invincible, about when he fought that sea creature and it did that fucking supersonic attack.
Yeah.
And it immediately just made him go to his knees, and he could not deal with that shit at all. I was like, that was interesting, because I haven't, outside of getting his absolute ass whipped physically, I haven't seen something that affects Viltrumites or just someone of his caliber the way that sonar thing did.
That shit was crazy.
And I was like, oh, maybe that's a weakness that they have. Maybe crazy high-pitched sounds or something. I don't, like heroes have to have some kind of, usually they have to have some kind of weakness. Something random that they just write in there to give them, some symbolism of maybe I can relate to him now because he is weak to this, whatever it is, right? Even if it's just the color yellow. But they usually have some kind of drawback. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's that sonar. Well, fucking Cecil took note of that and apparently put a chip in Mark's brain at some point that he can literally press a button that he's always carrying around, and it will just make him go fucking nuts. Like he cannot act at all. He can't attack. He can't defend himself. All he can do is put his hands on his head and just writhe in pain. Like that's all my man can do when that button's pressed.
Bro, so I think, as people know, as far as I know, I've never given real props to Rex. I've always been a Rex hater.
Yeah.
But there was a moment in this season where I was like, all right, Rex, I got, like, you're the boy. Just because when Mark showed up, because at the end of the day, Mark's the main character he's like who we're following.
Yeah.
So even though he kind of goes off the handle a little bit, he's still the guy I'm rooting for. And then so when he shows up and he's like, Cecil's trying to kill me, get this fucking shit out of my head.
Yeah.
And then Cecil shows up. I was happy that like Rex and the other boys were like on the bullshit. They were like, yo, Cecil, what the fuck is going on? And they had Mark's back. I was like, all right, hell yeah.
I even like the way they staged that scene. So you have the Guardians on one side, you have Cecil on the other side, and you have like Mark in the middle, and they're kind of looking left and right. So they're looking at Mark, and then they're looking at Cecil, and they're looking at Mark, and you don't know as the viewer at the time who they're going to choose, right? Because they're going to choose one of them, right? And we know they could very easily just go with Cecil because he's the boss.
Yeah.
And even they say, we always just follow orders. That's what we always have done, right? Like that's...
Yep.
We just follow orders. We don't really question much. We just do what we're told, and that's our life. And they don't know any better. They don't even know how to shop for groceries. So to them, this is a really big moment for their character development because they're choosing to go against their boss. And they've always, like they said, just follow whatever boss says. So when it comes time to, attack one of their own, essentially, or choose to let him suffer at the hands of Cecil, they were like, fuck that. We're fighting for Mark. And I did like that moment, even though I do 100% think Mark has been fucking tripping. I was like, bro, you are the problem, man. Like, relax. Cecil was trying to talk to you in such a calm and collected way. And I know that can be deemed as manipulative and he's trying to pacify you. I get it, because I don't like being talked to in a certain way either. But Cecil, unfortunately, is just right. And I can't, like, from where I stand, I'm like, Cecil is just right. And Mark, I get it. You're emotional. Your dad, you had this big fallout with your dad, which I can only imagine how that's affecting him because you just came into your powers less than 2 years ago at most. You found out that your hero isn't really who he claimed to be. The things he said about your mom are OD. He's out here making other families on other planets. It's a lot going on, right? It's a lot to take in. You had a guy attack your mom literally, and you failed to protect her in that moment. So like she was physically harmed. Her arm just healed. All of these things are going on. You also have this new younger brother that you care for. He looks like you, just purple, and you're trying to protect him as well, protect his identity. There's so many things going on.
I think that's a big part that goes into. I think he has a lot of emotional things going on, and
rightfully
once
so.
Again, he's still like young, and with age comes wisdom, and that's going to be a point that I want to make a little bit later when it comes to something else. But so you have Cecil, and he knows that Cecil is like, he's not necessarily a good guy. Like the quote is,
he's the guy that saves the world, not the good. Yep.
So he knows that Cecil's not really a good guy. And so, like, he doesn't want Cecil anywhere near his mom and especially his brother, because now he's, like, everything that he's gone through and the shit he's dealt with Cecil, and then he's, like, doesn't want to see him. I just love the part where, like, Cecil's like, don't you ever threaten me again? Like, if you do, like, it'll be a problem. And then Mark says, go near my fucking family and I will kill you. And it's like, and then, oh my God, when they were in the White Room and Mark was like, I'm not threatening you. And he was like, I feel fucking threatened. And they're like going back. And they're going back and forth. And then, like, Mark does threaten him. And he's like, I thought you said you didn't threaten people. And he's like, Mark's like, fucking things change, I guess. Like,
yeah.
And like,
I think that's what he says. Things change.
But Mark, he's been gripping that man up by his neck.
He's been choking the shit out of Cecil all season. He's been
choking him the fuck out.
Bro, he's been manhandling Cecil. And granted, I'm not like a Cecil fan by any means, although I do think episode 2 of this season, where they start off with the Cecil backstory, it made me respect him a bit more and see him as more of a person and less of a, like, robotic figurehead that leads this department.
Yeah.
Like, before, I kind of just saw him as this cold, calculated, narcissistic, manipulative person that had no real soul. And now I'm seeing how he became like this. And I'm also seeing that he's a hero. Like, Cecil is a hero. And sure, his methods may not always be the best in terms of, like, ethics and stuff like that and morality, but he saves the many by sometimes sacrificing the few. And I think that is a decision that needs to happen sometimes. Some people can't do that.
I'll tell you what, he is an actual anti-hero. So I feel like at some point in time, probably the 90s, I don't know, but the anti-hero stopped being the anti-hero. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of people look at somebody like Cloud and say he's an anti-hero.
What?
And it's only just because, like, he's brooding and wears black.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he's angsty?
Yeah, it's like somebody that's angsty and like brooding, and even Cloud's not even really that brooding. If you play more than 5 hours on FF7, like, Cloud's, like, he's got more to him than, like, that.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, somebody will see, like, a brooding character that's kind of angsty that, like, wears black, and then they'll be like, oh, that's an anti-hero. And I feel like what people have deemed as an anti-hero has changed a lot over the years. But, and I don't have the dictionary definition in front of me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying this is the exact only definition, but an anti-hero in general, I feel like, is someone like Cecil, where they are a hero in that their goals are to save the many, and they really do want to save as many people as possible, but they take some of the things that a normal, for example, Batman will never kill, right? Yep. But the Red Hood, who is a former Robin, etc., he'll fucking shoot somebody in the head, because, like, in his mind, it's the argument people throw at Batman, like, how many people are you killing by not killing the Joker?
Yeah. That comes up in Invincible too, I think. I think Oliver says that exact thing. If we let them go, won't they just kill other people and they'll hurt other people? And that's why I love Oliver being used as a device to kind of throw that hypocrisy in people's face. But go ahead.
And no, it's cool, because, like, if you look at somebody like Batman, if you understand Batman's character, you understand that the reason why he can't kill is because he knows he's just as fucking crazy as they are. Yeah. And that's just, like, the line that he can't cross. He knows that, like, if he killed the Joker, it would save more lives. But he also knows that if he killed the Joker, he doesn't know if he'd be able to stop killing. And if he just can't stop killing, what makes him any different than the Joker? And that's like the line. That's the line that, like, keeps him on the other side of the morality. Whereas other people like Cecil, he looks at it like, I'm legitimately saving the world. I'm not trying to take the world over. I'm not trying to, like, be the Empire of Doom. I want to protect as many people as possible. And the way I do that is through a mathematical equation.
Yes,
and if some people got to get fucked over in the process, like, if 5 people got to die and I save 5,000, like, that math works out to me.
Yep. That is, I love that. I love the way you put that, the mathematical equation, because that just turns us all into numbers. And some people hate being looked at like that. Like, even when you talk about jobs, people say, oh, we're just cogs in a wheel, or we're just numbers. We're just another number. And that is unfortunately true for a lot of corporations, especially in this country, and probably for every country. Now, because, like, China can't be any fucking better. But
yeah, right.
Like, come on. But being just a number when it comes to saving lives, yeah, that is what it is. It is what it is. Like, yeah, some people got to die. We cannot save everybody. And the longer we sit here and try to ponder on how to save everybody, the more suffering that happens for the many. So I like Cecil being able to make the hard decisions. He reminds me of Thanos in this season, because Thanos is one of my favorite Marvel characters, specifically the Marvel Cinematic Universe Thanos, the MCU Thanos. I'm not talking about comic book Thanos, because I don't read comic books. I know about some of the things that Thanos has done in the comic books, but I don't have a comprehensive list of all his accomplishments and all the things that he's done to actually argue for that. I'm only going to talk about Infinity War Thanos and how he talks about what happened on his planet Titan, his solution to that, and, like, the fact that Ebony Maw got sacrificed. I remember when he walks on his planet and Doctor Strange is there, and Doctor Strange is like, "Oh, you made it. I see you made it back." And he says, "I assume that Ebony Maw has been killed." And he says, "Yeah, he's dead." He's like, "Okay, this day exacts a heavy toll." That line, I love that line. This day extracts a heavy toll because it's, damn, my boy, my right hand, because Ebony Maw was his right hand. That was his sorcerer. If you guys don't know who Ebony Maw is, that was the guy that was fighting Doctor Strange in the very beginning in New York, and he was whooping Doctor Strange ass. Like, that sorcerer dude was broken as fuck. If it wasn't for Spider-Man, I feel like he would still be alive. But yeah, Ebony Maw like died in Infinity War, and Thanos, when he sees Doctor Strange, there's a certain sadness in him because he also lost Gamora as well. And she even says at the end of the movie, when he snaps his finger and there's that little scene, "You did it, but what did it cost you?" And he says, "Everything." Yep. I love that he has this conflict of, I want to achieve this goal because it's better for the many, but a lot of people do have to die or like fade out of existence for this to happen. But this is the only way I can see to stop people from being hungry, because Thanos hates seeing children hungry. Like, at the end of the day, that is a virtuous thing to look at starving children and say, I can't deal with the world having this bad distribution of resources and seeing children starve to death because the resources are just, it's not enough. It's just not enough. And my solution for it might not be the best one. It might not be what people consider the correct one, but it's the solution I have. And when he tells his plans to like Gamora, they have that argument. They go back and forth. And she's like, "How can you do that?" He's like, "I'm the only one who can do it." Like, when he says that to her, I was in a movie theater like, yo, he won me. Like, he won me over. He's like, the hard decisions, these are the hard decisions that somebody has to make. You can't make it. I get it. You can't do it. But I am the guy who has to do it. Somebody has to be it, and I'm that person. So Cecil, like you said, a real anti-hero. And honestly, Thanos, in a way, is an anti-hero. He's a villain from some people's perspective. Yes, he's a villain, right? Yeah. Because like him snapping half of existence out, you're like, well, I don't want my fucking family to be part of the 50% coin flip. But yeah, in Thanos' story, he is the hero, and there are other people who obviously side with Thanos. That's why they follow him. He has a whole fucking army of people that follow him, and they follow him because he's strong.
It's just that his equation was a little different. Cecil's like, if 5 people got to die and I say 500, that's pretty good. Thanos is like, if 5 people got to die and I say 5.
Yes. Yes. Thanos is like,
hold on, wait.
Thanos is like, half of everything got to go. Half of everything, all living forms.
Hold up, Big T.
Half of everything has to die. And I always say that it was actually a little bit worse than that because obviously
them pilots, bro. Pilots that got snapped.
The cars too. I always think about the vehicles, all vehicles, the air vehicles and the fucking ground vehicles. Everybody who gets snapped out of existence, if you're on the highway doing 70 and you just suddenly fade away, the car doesn't stop moving because you're not pressing down on the fucking gas pedal anymore. It just keeps going at 70 miles per hour until, eventually it starts to slow. But a lot of people died, basically. When Thanos snapped out half of existence, a lot of other people died. And guess what? When they snapped back, they didn't come back because they actually died regular. When you think about it, right? Like the people who died because of plane crashed, because the pilot and half the people on the plane just vanished. The pilot fucking wasn't there to control the plane. I know planes are mostly autopilot, but some of them just crashed, right? People died because of those plane crashes. They don't come back in the snap because they just died. That's fucked up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of funny ways when you think about it. Like, there's probably somebody that went skydiving for the very first time.
Yep.
And when you go skydiving for the first time, there's a guy on your back and like they pull the string.
Yeah.
So just in case you like pass out or whatever. So there's somebody that was like skydiving for the first time. And the guy on their back got snapped away. And, and that person just fell to their death.
So many weird ways that, like, open heart surgery is happening and you vanish. And the scalpel that you're holding falls and it falls inside the person's body, right? Like, just terrible shit. A lot more death happened. But anyway, enough memeing about that. I love Thanos' character. I'm not as in love with Cecil as I am with Thanos, but I understand him. I get it now. Because of that quote that they said in the season twice, with Radcliffe saying it to Cecil and then Cecil saying it to Donald, you could either be the good guys or you could be the guys that saved the world, but you cannot be both, specifically that.
Yeah, Donald's like 100 years old, by the way. Like, not really because he's like a cloned android or whatever, but you fucking see in that flashback when Cecil's young, when he takes over as the new director, when he's young, Donald is there.
Yeah. He says, I'll be your number one, which I thought was funny because he's been killed so many times that he's actually, like, he might have been Cecil's number one, but that might have been the 25th Donald already.
Yeah, and so now we have all these years later, Cecil's an old man, and Donald's still there, just like
they're looking exactly the
still
same.
looking like Bobby Hill, like he's just chilling.
Yeah, and I think that Cecil has a backup plan for his own consciousness or for his own like cloning or something. Because why wouldn't he? Right? Doesn't it just make sense?
I would hope so.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be that he's so fragile that he could just die from Invincible having a tantrum.
I also feel like if he's fine with like creating android clones of Donald, why wouldn't he do that for himself?
Yeah, it just seems beneficial. But I do like a lot of the themes of the season. So yeah, hypocrisy is a big one. I mean, even I wanted to talk more about this, but so I already said there's hypocrisy with the whole like you kill people, but now you're telling me, Oliver, not to kill people, and you're telling me not to do all of these things, but you blatantly do them, and Dad has done them, and all this other stuff. So I get it from a confused kid. But then there's other stuff like Debbie, the mom. She is telling Oliver that she wants him to have a normal life and she wants him to be a normal kid and stuff like that. And to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I get it, but I also don't. You're not rooted in realism at all. The kid is literally, he's literally purple, Kenny. Like, so he is literally
he's really purple, right?
Purple, Kenny.
There was a point where like, I don't remember what happened, but so I was watching this with like, with Connie and like her siblings and stuff. We were watching it on Discord, and there's a point when her brother says like, oh, they're gonna fuck around and paint him white, right?
Oh my god,
he's like purple.
Yeah,
and he's like, he makes the joke that like, oh, like when he goes outside, they're gonna paint him white. Completely joking. Like the next scene, he's being painted white, and we all were losing it. Like, bro, they're really fucking painting this man white.
I love that they painted him white too, because they could have chosen any color. They blatantly chose white though. That shit is funny. They just painted that kid white. I mean, I guess they painted him black. That'd have been blackface, but I thought that whole thing was hilarious. The fact that they literally painted his skin. I was confused because that scene just starts off where he's already painted for the most part.
Yeah. And there's like a little bit of purple.
Yeah. And then he answers the door for Cecil, I think. And Cecil looks down and he's like, "What's up, kid?" And I know Cecil's like, "What the fuck are y'all doing right now?" Like, what? Because Cecil looks at that kid as a weapon, obviously. He's like, "What the fuck are y'all actually doing in this house? Like, what? I'll let you have the kid. I could honestly just take the kid, but like, I'll let y'all keep the kid. And now, what is happening?" But that was funny to me. So yeah, she's like, "I want him to have a normal life." And as soon as she said that, I got angry. I got immediately, like, my brain just processed it so fast. I was like, that's not possible though.
Yeah.
You can't paint him every day to go to school. That's just not realistic. Also, it's fucking makeup. So like, it will just come off. He's a kid. He's going to play. He's going to do things. It's just going to come off at some random point, and they're going to see the skin's purple, and the kids are going to freak the fuck out, and they're going to make fun of him forever if they even ever see him again. You either have to keep him home forever, or you'll act like it didn't happen, and kids are evil. They will tease the fuck out of that little boy, and he also
might be 18 in 2 weeks.
That's the other thing.
He like is rapidly aging. Like you can't. It's not. If there was ever an argument for like it's not possible for him to have a normal life, it's this one. Like
yes. I thought it was so ridiculous.
Possible.
She's serious too, and I couldn't believe that she was being dead serious about wanting him to have a normal life. Because I'm thinking to myself, well, at the end of the last season, he was a baby, and we know it's been 3 months. Like we factually know it's been 90 days since season 2. Okay, they've mentioned the 3-month time gap multiple times in the first couple episodes. Like, oh, it's been 3 months since that. It's been 3 months since this. It's been 3 months since that. And I'm like, okay, this little boy is like 12. Like he's basically a 12-year. Like he's going to be a teenager. I assume he's going to age again, maybe in this season. Like I would not be surprised if Oliver ages one more time in the season because he is growing so rapidly. And for her to say, "I want him to be normal," it just seems so ridiculous. No flying in a house. I get stuff like that. Like, sure, have your manners, respect your mom. But normal life and Viltrumite, purple insect kid, just don't go hand in hand. It's unrealistic. It's hypocritical to even try to do that, especially because you know, Debbie, better than anyone, better than Mark and anyone else on the planet, really, because you dated and were married to a fucking alien.
Yeah.
And he flew you to Paris when he felt like giving you spaghetti. There's nothing normal about that.
Your life wasn't normal for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean? There's nothing normal about that. You haven't
had a normal life. Only thing with Oliver, something I think is really interesting about his perspective is that, he's just like, he's like, oh, Dad did that and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, what's wrong with that? Like, Dad's cool. Like,
yeah.
Or like he's changed and he's better now. And like, and then he's talking about how like we don't kill people. And he's like, well, why not? Like, they're not even special. Like, and they don't have any respect for each other. They kill each other all the time. It's something that I think is super interesting. And this kind of goes back to when I said, like, with age comes wisdom. Oliver is very smart, and he has like a home tutor and everything. He's learned all about world history. He's learned about all the wars. He knows all these different historical dates and things like that even Mark doesn't really remember or know. He's been growing in 3 months from a baby to like a fucking 10, 12-year-old. And in that time, he's learned like all of fucking American history and like I don't know how much world history. And he's learned just history is bloodshed. So he's learned all the bloodshed all throughout history with just normal fucking people. And so it begs the question for him, because he doesn't have many, many years on Earth to age and like see the wisdom in different things in life and respect the nuances of life or whatever. So for him, he's like, I don't understand why you guys are telling me to respect life. I just went to school. You taught me all about history and all this other stuff. Nowhere in anything I've been taught is there respecting life. Like they kill each other for no fucking reason. So it was really interesting when he's like killing things and like to see like when he killed the fucking Mauler twins and he knew fully what he was doing. He had a cold.
You saw the demeanor,
like,
right? The way they drew him and everything.
Was cold,
covered in blood, and he was basking in it.
And he didn't care. And then when adults showed up, he was like, "Oh my god!" Like he started like faking shit. Like acting like, oh, it was just an accident.
That, Kenny,
but like,
before you keep that thought, that part right there, what you just said, freaked me out a little bit because it reminded me of Free Ren. It reminded me of the demons from Free Ren, how he knew what he was doing in the moment that he was doing it. When he was killing the Mauler twins, he was bloodthirsted, whatever you call it. Like, my man was fully aware that I'm murdering you guys and I'm not holding back because he could pull his punches. He knows how to do that. Like, it's like you said, he's really smart. And they made a point of telling us how smart he was in the very first scene with him growing up, where the girl, his tutor was asking him, his tutor slash, Cecil's whatever, was asking him about, oh, if you can tell me this answer or whatever, he names every president or whatever she asks him. He just gives the answer. She's like, damn, you're really good. So he's extremely smart. He's doing it while playing with like a ball or some shit. He's not even really fully paying attention. He's like, can I go play now? But he's really smart. So when he kills the Mauler twins and he's all bloodthirsted and literally covered in it, afterwards when the adults show up and he goes back to kid mode, I was like, oh no, that's like psychopath, sociopath shit right there. Because he changed personalities back to a kid almost to disarm the adult, because he knows that's how you disarm adults. The same way demons in Free Ren know that you say father or mother before they kill you, and they will stop because they feel like, oh shit, this demon maybe has a father or mother or something. Like, you seem more human. You pacify humans by just saying certain words. And when he did that, I was like, that seems demonic, psychopathic, sociopathic, whatever you want to call it. But that, to me, that is setting up for something down the line with Oliver. I think Oliver is going to be a problem later on. I could be wrong.
He could be a problematic character. I kind of think the same thing. I think because of how strong he is because of the Viltrumite, and because of how fast he ages, he'll still live an extremely long time because of the Viltrumite thing. But he's also aging very fast. And his powers are coming online very fast. And I think what happens is that he learns about life in such a accelerated way. And so he doesn't gain the respect and value of life that you would get over time. So he just doesn't see why everybody is like respect and value life. He's like, he even says like they're normal. He's like, I have powers. Like, what they're not even like, fuck that. Like, I don't get it. Why do we care about these people? I also thought I thought he was going to be the king when Mark went to the future.
Me too.
But, like, when he was in the future and there was like all of this shit happening and they told the story about the king and how he like ruled the planet and everything. And then Mark like asked these questions and then Mark goes, is it a Viltrumite? And they're like, what's that? And he goes, okay. And then I was like, oh shit, I really think like it might be Oliver. Like, he might go up there and it might be like an old fucking Oliver. And he just is going to have to deal with that. Cause it felt like they were setting up Oliver doing some nutty shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm about to see old Oliver on some crazy shit.
And it would make sense, right? It would be totally in character for him to be, if he gets older, if he hasn't changed his mindset about things, like he still sees humans as kind of insects, and that's no pun intended either. But it would be kind of funny if he starts treating them like that and he rules over the earth and their lives don't mean much. So he just stomps them out like ants. I could totally see that being a thing. But my brain was doing two things at once while that whole time travel aspect was happening. I thought that it was either going to be Mark, and Mark was going to get a good look at what he could be if he doesn't relax a little bit, or just his brother. Those were the only two people I could see it being. I was like, it's not going to be Omni-Man, obviously. It's not going to be like Alan the alien. It's just going to be Mark or Oliver, is what my brain was saying. And I was trying to make up reasons in my head why I could be either one of them, just based on a little bit of information that those twins were giving. But then it ended up being like the Immortal randomly. And I was like, oh, There was no way to predict that.
It makes sense in that he's immortal, and then like they kind of said like he went crazy. And what I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know if it was blatantly clear or not clear or whatever, but what I'm trying to figure out is basically like, as I understand it, I think Mark was the ruler of the planet some point.
He was. He left the planet to the immortal. Like he left. He got a sickness that made him apparently like it emaciated him. He was very just skinny and fucked up, and then he healed the sickness. They give us like a little bit of information, like a lot of information, but a little bit at the same time. But they said he was ill, he got cured, and then he like left the planet and left it to the immortal.
But what I'm trying to figure out is who ended up being the Mad King, because I'm trying to figure out if Mark was ruling the planet, but he was doing it in a somewhat like benevolent way, like he was just ruling maybe not benevolent's the right word, but he was ruling the planet and like things weren't crazy yet. And then when they told the story, they were like, eventually the king went mad and like all this other shit happened. Yeah. And so I wonder, and they were like, oh, but it was before our time, way before our time. We don't really know how that happened.
Yep.
So then you get to the immortal, and he talks about how like you left all of this on me. Like I didn't want to do all of this. And then he's saying like, I had to do this to make you come back. And so I was trying to figure out if like Mark isn't the one that fucked the planet up. He was like, things were cool. He left it to the immortal. All this time passed, and then the immortal is the Mad King, and he fucked everything up as a ploy to like get Invincible to come back from the future or the past or wherever, so that he could finally have somebody release him and like kill him and like whatever. Yeah. Or if Mark was the Mad King and like fucked everything up. I think the immortal is the one that fucked everything up.
Me too. The more even you just talking about it, in my head the entire time I was making my mind up, and I made my mind up that it's the immortal who was the Mad King. Yeah. That's just what because the immortal has already he's already shown signs of being a little off, right?
Yeah. It was wild when he was like, Mark was like, yo, is everything okay? Like, is Kate okay? Like, he's like, who's Kate? He's like, oh, it's like, well, like you guys it's your wife. He's like, I've had hundreds of wives.
That part, yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot, because then I wanted to know, okay, how many years have passed? You know what I mean? You know how long it takes to forget? Because even one of the dwarves in Freeran, who unfortunately he's really old, so I would say he's probably 200 or more years old. He eventually forgot his lover's face. Mm-hmm. But dwarves live for hundreds of years in Freeran, in most lore, I think. So I was like, okay, I wonder how long does it take for you to completely forget Kate altogether?
Yeah.
Like altogether, I would imagine it takes hundreds of years, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah.
Like I would imagine
like hundreds.
Yeah, to completely be like, who is Kate is fucking crazy to me. So especially because we see how they act right now in present day, where Kate and the immortal are like an item, like they're a real thing.
Yep.
So yeah, that did blow me away. And that's what I meant by they gave us a lot of information and a little bit of information at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how these things tie into the main storyline, or I should say the main timeline. Like that future that they went to. Did you see how it ended? Where Mark got his clothes back, like that.
That was all. Yeah, he's like going there, and then Mark comes to a portal. He's like, and like takes it. He's all like defeated and depressed, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" They're like, "Well, time travel is better not to know." And then you get to the end, and he goes, and he's the one that gets the clothes. Like
that little loop though, because that's a fucking loop right there.
Yeah,
that blew me away. I was like, "What the hell is happening?" This is a hold the door moment.
Yeah.
That was some hold the door shit. Up. That was pretty cool. But so we had some time travel, but it wasn't awful. Usually time travel is very, very scary in stories that are good, because it can just straight up ruin them. In my opinion, anyway. I have a hard time with time travel stuff because it opens up so many plot holes usually, if not done very carefully. If you don't do time travel extremely carefully, it always opens up so many plot holes where you're like, oh my god, well then this could happen and this could happen, and then he could, like, it just complicates things in a way that I don't personally find to be pleasant. Some people do. There are people on Reddit who will sit there and argue about Steins Gate until the fucking cows come home. I do not feel that same energy. I do not feel that same sentiment. I think time travel usually is like pretty sloppily done. And even when it's well done, I always just kind of feel like it's a bit of a cop-out to solve issues that, like, you wrote yourself into a corner, and the best way to figure it out is just to literally be like, well, I can just rewrite it if I introduce time travel.
Yeah, time travel has to be handled carefully. I think it can be a really awesome story nuance if like handled well. If you know you're going in, you're going to write time travel in, because like anything else, it's just like a fantastical element.
Yeah.
And it's like something that's really cool, something that we fantasize about in real life. What if I could time travel? So if it's handled well and written well, but it's one of those things where it's a lot harder to handle than like super strength.
Than anything else.
Like,
honestly, I think it is probably the hardest thing to write into a story, because we watch things happen in a chronological order, and then you're telling us that order doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, and it gets weird.
Yeah.
What's the other thing is I think, based on season 2 and then what we see in the little bit here in season 3 that we've seen in the first 4 episodes, I think we're definitely going to see more, if not of time travel itself, of like the alternate universe stuff, maybe. Just because in season 2, we saw like a bunch of we saw the alternate universe, like Invincible, and how he killed everybody. And there was like a million universes through Angstrom.
We know Angstrom and Invincible are like, they're dictators together.
Yeah, we know Angstrom is coming back in the second half of season 3. So, I think we're going to see more Invincibles, more Marks, more, maybe more Omni-Mans, etc. I don't know how that's going to be handled. So far, I've enjoyed it. I don't have much complaints. It hasn't been
bad yet. And that's why I'm surprised.
So far I've enjoyed it, so.
They've done a really good job of handling the time travel so far, because they're not really tampering with things too much to like fuck up the present storyline. They're going to usually the future, it seems like, or a completely different timeline where if you do something there, it doesn't really matter for the main timeline. Like, I don't give a fuck what happens in a world where Adam Eve, she's kind of sad that Mark left her hanging his entire life. That plays into the main storyline though in a way that I think is cool, but it doesn't interfere and create a plot hole and all types of stuff like that. So we could talk about that too. One of the things that happens this season is that Mark finally admits and goes after Adam Eve, right? Like he finally does it, and we've been waiting for this to happen. Even when he was dating the one chick, Amber, from the last couple seasons, I always thought that this is never going to work, because he always had to lie to her at first about where he was going and why he was late. He had to keep his identity secret. Then when she found out, it was kind of a traumatic way that she found out in the first place. Right. And this is like, I will kill this bitch right here, right now. And everybody in this cafe, like, just her being introduced to his real life was dark and traumatic for her. And she's like, I don't have any agency in your life. I don't matter. Yeah. I'm a fucking tool that people can use against you at best. Like, that's the best that I could ever be. I can't assist you. I can't help you. I can't understand you. Most importantly, like, I literally can't understand your world. I just don't understand what it's like to fight somebody in space.
Yeah, I think we might have made this analogy when we talked about it when it happened. But if not, I'll say it now. But it's like how like celebrities only really date celebrities. Yeah. Because once you're in that world, it's really hard to not be in that world, and it's just hard for the worlds to mix. If you're a fucking superhero and you're dealing with superhero shit, it's really difficult for you to just be dating a normal person.
Right.
Like,
how could they ever relate to what you go through?
They never could. Like, if you have a bad day at work, it's because like the coffee was cold. But like, if I have a bad day at work, like, you could never possibly, like, you can never be like, oh, it's okay. Like, you can never like console me. Like, it's crazy. Like, my bad day at work was like the moon blew up.
Yeah.
Like
my dad went on a murdering spree and he killed 500 people.
And like, no one can stop him.
My dad held my face up to a train, and like, we killed hundreds of people with my body. Like, my body was used to literally kill hundreds of humans, okay, against my will.
I gotta deal with that.
Because my dad, didn't that happen? Didn't his dad fucking...
Yeah, I think that was, the end of season 1.
I think his dad literally held a fucking train came and he just held Mark up and just let him get absolutely destroyed. And all the people you just saw their body parts just going every which way. So it is interesting. The Amber thing never made sense to me, but I get it because they wanted to show us, for people who Invincible might be one of the first things they ever see, right? Like, your little brother might watch Invincible, and in his world, this is like a newer thing to see. Like, oh, okay, it's hard for a superhero to relate to a normal person. Me and you, we've been around much longer. We've seen a lot of stories. We knew immediately with the whole Amber thing, this is never going to work. Mm-mm. You just need to be with Adam Eve anyway. So now that he's finally getting with her, he made this stupid decision. And everybody warned him against doing this. Do not tell her about the other version of herself that is like hung up about him, because that just complicates things and makes his best friend told him this, like, do not bring that up. You can go after her. I think by all means you should go after her. You guys will make a cute couple, blah, blah, blah. Why would you ever tell her that basically the reason I'm doing this is because in the future, you just couldn't get over me and you were fucking miserable. So I'm going to try to save you from yourself later on in your own misery. So why don't you just date me and let me save you from being a miserable girl? It will never come off right. Like, it will never come off right. Not even to anyone, not even just a girl. I think if I was told that the reason why you're talking to me is because in the future, which you just came back from, I was miserable without you, and that's the reason why, because I've known you for a long time, Mark. Like, it's not like I just met you. We've known each other for a while.
She makes a great point. She's like, you have to understand, like, how fucking ashamed she was, like how pissed she was, like, you're telling me 20 years from now I'm like fucking hung up over you, like
yeah.
she's just like, it's so frustrating that like that's who I am, like it's embarrassing, yeah. And it's like I feel for that because you know you don't want to hear that 20 years from now you're still dwelling over something like that, like
like a person that you never even got with, actually, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he just left her. I think they say holding the torch or something like that. But yeah, that does suck. So I get why she was mad. She raged out a bit. In that moment when she raged out, I was like, all right, this seems like a bit of an overreaction too in that moment. But I get it. But everybody's emotions were so high this season that I was getting annoyed by how everyone was being emotional. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I understand that she was like angry at herself too. Like that's like a lot of times when I'm most angry, it's I'm mad at myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just what it is. And you get somebody might look at me like, yo, he's irrationally angry. And it's like, we don't realize is like, he's angry at himself. But yeah, there was something else. Oh, I did want to say small note on the Mark even telling her that. I do agree that like, just you shouldn't have told her. It's crazy. But at the same time, to give him a little bit of respect, there is this idea of like, you don't want to be lying in a relationship. And so the idea, I can see why it's like, you know what? Like, I don't want to start this relationship. Like, I want to be honest with her from the gate and always be honest. You know what I mean? It's like,
fair enough.
I get it. Fair enough, right? It's a horrible thing to be honest about.
Exactly. I still think, if you're asking me if I would have did that, the answer is fucking no. Like, the answer is absolutely no. I would never say that because I feel like me saying that is always going to come off as kind of mean. As a person who's well aware of how mean words can be, I just know that saying something like that to a person, what it could do to them mentally, and if I love them, I would never, ever, ever say that. But like you said, I do also understand why he doesn't want to kind of start the relationship off by lying by omission is what that would be considered.
Yeah.
I totally understand that point. So yeah, you have those two finally getting together, and I like it. They have their Aladdin moment as well. There was one last season with Amber, but now they have another one with Adam Eve, where instead of having to carry her, she can fly on her own. She can do it. I like the parallels of those two scenes. When he's doing it with Amber, obviously she has to hold on to him the entire time.
And once again, like she said, no agency. Like everything is within his control.
Yep. If he drops her, right? If he dropped Amber, that's just the end of her life. If he so chose, that was the end of her life. If a villain
attacks and like he forces him to drop her, and then because the villain's attacking, he can't get to her in time, she's dead. Right?
She's just, that's it. And there was it had nothing to do with like really her. It's just, this is his life. Like this is his normal life. He gets attacked by villains or whatever entities all the time, and that's just what his life is like. And you don't really matter. They would even have respected the fact that he's with you. They'd be like, well, I don't know what that was. That was a fucking ant or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do like that they showed the exact same scene, those two flying around, and her, Adam Eve, she has her own powers. Also like that she's taking architecture classes. I think that's so cool.
I thought that was cool.
Just like little things like that, little tiny character development that you don't get in some of the shows that aren't as good. Like you just don't get that. Because I like how the one girl was like, why are you taking this class? She's like, oh, I just think it's cool that I can apply this in multiple ways or whatever. She's like,
what the fuck are you talking about?
She's like, how are you applying this architecture class? She's like, models and stuff. I like to build models.
Yeah.
But we know.
Yeah, it's cool though, because it's character development for her because of the mistakes she made. It's also, it gives you a moment to think about it. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense because her power is like she controls atoms and she can like make shit, right? But it's kind of like My Hero Academia with Yaoyorozu. She needs to understand what she's making. She can't just make something. She needs to understand what it is. So she's like very book smart. She's constantly studying and reading about all this stuff. So she needs to understand like the chemical compounds of what she's creating in order to be able to create it. And that makes sense. Like you would need to know, like, we see a building. There are so many internal things that you never see that keeps a building standing. And if you don't know what all of those things are, it doesn't matter that you can control atoms. You're going to create a building, but it's going to be like hollow. It's not going to have the structure that it needs. Yeah, to stay. And that happened to her in season 2, where she made a building in like this place, and then like it fucking went into a sinkhole or some shit.
Yeah, it got really bad. That park or whatever. That shit got real bad. And then with that one couple that was on the bridge, she had that moment. She's had a lot of moments where things have gone wrong because of her powers. I will say this. I don't know if the writers feel the same way. I kind of hope they do, though. I think Adam Eve should end up being one of the strongest people in the entire verse.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Her powers are broken.
Her powers seem so OP to me, and they're not treating them that way just yet. But I don't know how they couldn't eventually end up being the end-all, be-all of abilities in this verse. I think that her abilities.
Completely agree.
Yeah, like Kenny. Okay, we're on the same page because I'm like, I still haven't gotten over her touching that apple in her parents' house and it turning to gold.
Yeah.
And her just being like, you could sell this. And then she walks out angry. I was like, wait, what? She turned that regular aging apple that would have fucking decayed in the next day or two into solid gold, 24 karat gold like that.
Equivalent exchange does not exist for her.
Bro,
like
exactly. Exactly. Fucking Full Metal Alchemist. What is going on? She just turned an apple into straight up gold. I was like, that's not okay. Okay.
No.
That is so not okay. So yeah, I think that her abilities should end up becoming very relevant to the storyline. Like right now, she's just considered another hero. But I think that either a villain or something should happen where the villain either wants her abilities because they're ridiculous, like they're just absolutely ridiculous powers to have, or she just becomes very relevant because of how ridiculously powerful she becomes after taking like architecture classes and just getting stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the years. I hope that she just doesn't get relegated to just, she is just a strong hero, but I want her to be like one of the strongest things on the planet because I think that's actually what her powers are.
She's ridiculous. Like realistically, like it's such an absurd power to have. Like realistically, she should be able to like become unstoppable.
I'm doing everything but saying
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, she should be able to beat Viltrumites. Like, I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Like she should be able to like pull apart their molecules.
Yes, like stuff like that, like some Scarlet Witch type shit.
Yeah, just like completely unfair, ridiculous.
Okay, I want to say this. This is one of my gripes with the season so far. It's only been 4 episodes, but I'm just gonna throw it out.
Okay,
and this is not new. But just like how killing and resurrecting isn't really technically new either, but we both agree that it's kind of getting a little bit annoying now, season 3.
Yeah, I'm curious what you're going to say because I do have one more gripe too, but I was going to save it because I didn't want to like. Okay, go ahead. You might say what I'm thinking.
So season starts off with Mark training, and he is picking up like you said.
I think you're going to say exactly what I'm. I think you're hitting my gripe right now. I think you're there.
He's picking up a glacier.
By the way, I just think you're there.
He's picking up a glacier, Kenny, and he's dipping in lava. And he is bench pressing this metallic machine that is the heaviest thing on the planet or whatever. And he literally flew from the moon to the fucking Earth. And he was like, I got lost on the way back. And they were like, you still beat your last time. Yep. So I say all that to say, he gets his absolute ass whipped up and down this whole season so far.
I'm so tired of it, bro.
I am tired of it.
I'm so tired
of it, bro. I'm sick of it. Prepare to be sick of me, okay? Prepare to be sick of me.
I'm so happy you brought it up because literally I was going to wait till like the end of the podcast. I was like, all right, by the way, there is one more gripe that I have. And then you started talking. I was like, oh, he got it.
I really, really, really do not like every fight he got in. So when Dr. Seismic came back, who is like a previous villain that he was trying to fuck up Mount Rushmore or whatever, and they just kind of beat him back then, and he's been a prisoner, and now he's free and doing all this shit. I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to show how much more powerful Mark is, because at one point, Dr. Seismic or whatever was really a threat, and he just should not be anymore, especially they just showed a montage of you doing the most absurd shit. Him lifting up that iceberg, I was like, God damn, how that iceberg was so much bigger than Mark's body.
Yep.
I couldn't fathom him picking it up. I couldn't fathom how much strength is required to do that. Like, that is an otherworldly amount of strength to do that.
It's really frustrating because the season opens up, like you said, with him doing all of this training. And my first thought was like, oh, yes, like, we're not going to watch Mark just get his ass whooped for no reason throughout the season. Because, at every season, we know how strong Mark is. And it's like, he just gets his ass whooped. And it's like, how is this fucking happening? So it was like, oh, cool. He's doing all of this training, right? And it really frustrates me, though, because I feel as though we talked about like the whole first 4 episodes, there is a conflict between Mark and Cecil. And what's really frustrating is that it feels like we got there. Now, I think the story that's written there is really cool and interesting, and I like what they do with that story. But the catalyst for it is a plot convenience, because we watch Mark do all this training, do all the strongest shit, beat his best time, lift the heaviest thing on the planet, do all of this shit. Every hero on the planet gets kidnapped. Mark goes underground with Adam Eve, who, as we just previously talked about, also has like completely broken powers.
Yes.
Mark is like the strongest thing to exist.
Yep.
They go underground and they start losing a fight to fucking worms.
Yep.
And like, they can't beat these worms in a fight, which then forces Cecil to activate like this super backup plan that releases Darkwing and these like the the fucking zombies.
Yeah, the undead.
And he did not want to do that, but it's like a super backup plan. So he releases these things. That triggers Mark. Mark goes into a fucking rage. By the way, these zombies destroy the worms.
Oh my god, they zero diff
and they instantly open up the cages that the heroes are in, and then Mark zero diffs the zombies.
Yep.
That just zero diffed the worms, and the worms zero diffed Mark. I was like, bro, this doesn't make sense. Like, it's this plot convenience nonsense, and then it creates the tension between Mark and Cecil for the rest of the season, or for the rest of the 4 episodes that we've seen. And it's really frustrating because I think the story and everything that's told in the story and with the characters is really good in the season.
Yeah,
but it's frustrating because it starts from a plot convenience where we know Mark is the strongest thing on the planet, and then he loses to these fucking worms, and it's so annoying.
He loses to everybody, by the way. He starts getting beat up in every single fight, bro. Like, he starts struggling with the Bill and Frank of this show, like the gay couple that are robbing banks and shit. They have like their little montage where his brother needs to save him from that. Yeah, like it's crazy. Those two guys are living in an apartment that is smaller than mine in fucking New York, struggling or whatever, and like they start getting the upper hand on Mark. And I'm just thinking to myself, there ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way. I just watched this man lift up an iceberg and fly from the moon, and you're trying to tell me that one of them is a human with a device strapped on his body. Let's be fucking clear. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, bro.
I don't remember if it's when he's fighting those two. I think it's when he's fighting the Mauler twins, though. There's a part, I think it's the Mauler twins. They go and like he like has his hands on both sides, and Mark puts his hands up and blocks and like pushes them out, right? But when he does it, his arms like shake. It's like, and then he like breaks them off of him. And I was like, and I saw that shake. I was like, that shouldn't have happened. Like the fact that the Mauler, because like it was like it was like an arm wrestle,
right?
Like, and then broke off him and like did whatever. But I was like, why did he struggle for like a modicum of a second? Like it shouldn't have even been a picosecond of him struggling.
Bro, his brother zero diffed him.
It's not. And I get it. Absolutely zero diff.
And I get it. His brother is not holding back at all. And Mark is usually holding back. But okay, sure. Mark is holding back his strength to not kill things. But his defense against certain things should attack Mark and he should be standing there.
Yeah.
Like things should attack Mark. The fucking thing spewing lava, the guy spewing lava, we literally saw Mark dipping in lava as one of his training
going regiments. In lava. I mean, we see it, and that's the thing. There's some parts where like Mark, and it's so weird because I feel like so much of this show is written really well, like really, really well. High accolades from me.
Yep.
But it seems like with Mark, the writing is so inconsistent it comes to his powers.
It is.
Because when the kids come from the future, Mark and Rex are fucking talking as they are toying with these kids. And the kid is like punching Mark, and Mark isn't even paying, like he's getting punched in the chest.
Yeah, he's doing it.
And it's like, it doesn't matter. And we know it shouldn't matter because he gets dipped in lava. But then, like, somebody else, a regular fucking guy, will like punch Mark and he'll like hit a building.
Fucking
and it's
Bill
like,
and Frank start ODing.
How is this happening?
The fact that Oliver ever felt like Mark's life was in danger, whether it actually was or not, the fact that his brother could ever perceive, right?
Yeah.
The fact that his brother could perceive that he was in danger from fighting Bill and Frank is crazy to me. Like,
insane.
That gay couple should have got their absolute ass beat for challenging Mark in that moment. He was like, go home. You guys are fucking out here robbing banks and shit. Like, this ain't it. Get a job. I know that the economy's bad. We got tariffs out the wazoo. President is fucking power tripping right now. But all of this robbing banks is not working, bro. It's not for you. It's not given.
As a quick aside from the Mark thing, I do really like how that episode started. Like, no dialogue, like just audio, like music, and then it like shows like these two and their life and like how they were villains, and then like they got a job, and then like
the boss was being an asshole to him, like
bosses, and then life doesn't work out, and like then they're fucking homeless, and they're like, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, we're homeless, and then like they have to go try to rob a bank again. And
the eviction.
It was a really cool like little intro.
One of them tried to talk the other one out of it because I like how they framed the scene. One of them is staring at the bank behind the other one. Like he's trying to talk him into like, okay, we got to figure out how we're going to make money and get back on our feet. But while he's talking to his spouse is just staring in the distance at the bank in the background.
Yeah.
And I actually just the framing of that scene, that whole little montage in the beginning of the episode was very artsy. The music.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. I felt it. I actually felt real emotions, which is why I called it the Bill and Frank of this show. Bill and Frank, for people who don't know, I keep saying that. Bill and Frank is from The Last of Us. It was the episode with the gay couple that survived season one of The Last of Us. It was the gay couple in episode 3 that eventually Joel and they make it to the house, but by the time they make it there, things had happened. I'm not going to like spoil every single show we talk about in here, but Bill and Frank is one of the best episodes of The Last of Us season 1. It's like top 2 episodes of the entire season, and I think pretty much everyone who saw the show would agree. But
completely,
it gave a similar vibe of like a couple that just so happens to be same sex, but a couple that is going through a struggle and how they're trying to cope with that struggle. I thought it was really well done without, like Kenny said, without any words, which is really hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, it was done. It was just soundtrack. It was done awesomely.
Yeah.
But then, like, back to Mark, there's, there are multiple times where he's like telling Oliver, like, don't do it, and he's like wasting time talking to him, and then like, he's wasting time with these villains. And it's like, I have a similar problem with like the Flash. Like, I feel like there's like this Flash issue where it's like,
I think you
should be able to just solve these problems instantly. Like, there just shouldn't even be, like, you flew to the moon and back. Like, bro, like, you should just solve the fucking problem. Like, you should be able to, like, Oliver, don't do anything. And then, like, the next second, Oliver doesn't have a chance to do anything because the situation's solved. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I absolutely think that we got to get more comfortable with cutting people's arms off. I think that we just got to get more comfortable with amputating arms and legs, because it would solve so many issues. I think, like,
just breaking them at least. Like, just go up and kick their knees out real quick.
Yeah,
just like
Yeah, like, I just think, knowing the technology that Cecil possesses, you should feel a little bit more comfortable with using way more brute strength than you're using right now. And the fact that your defenses are so bad, you shouldn't feel comfortable getting hit, because apparently you can get your ass beat to the point where you, like, a worm put a hole in his chest. And I like the way they showed the hole healing in every scene. Like, every scene you saw Mark, the hole kept closing up more and more. You noticed that too, right?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, seeing a Viltrumite heal in real time was dope. But I'd rather not see you get impaled by a worm. I'd rather not see that happen, because you should be zero diffing the worm. Because those fucking undead zero diffed everything that they saw, and then you zero diff those to get to Cecil.
Yep.
So what are we talking about?
It was so frustrating, because, like, it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense, that stuff. It was just what the heck's going on? Very
inconsistent, very convenient writing, like you said, just to make the story move along. I get it. Cecil and Mark have to be at odds this season, and they have to introduce a way to make it happen. I like, and this is what I brought up really early, so we can finally talk about this before we go to the very last part of this whole 4-episode arc with the Viltrumites and Alan and all that stuff. So I like that they introduce, like, okay, we've been actually taking the bad guys that should be in prison, and we've been institutionalizing them and making them into good guys, essentially. Like, we instead of imprisoning them or killing them or capital punishment or anything like that, we've been taking them and rehabilitating them, because that's what prison a lot of time is supposed to be in real life, right?
Yeah.
But we know in real life that prison rarely does actual rehabilitation to people. It actually makes them worse.
Pretty much never.
Yeah, rehabilitation is just, for whatever reason, the way we have it set up in this country. I can't speak for every other country and the way they do it, but in America, the prison system rarely ever actually rehabilitates human beings. So Cecil's solution to stuff like this, and I think that the US, and this has been alluded to in TV shows and stuff like that, which are always based on reality anyway, art imitates life, they say. When someone is brilliant at something, even if they use it for bad, I do think that governments will try to convert that person to using it for good. So,
I mean, yeah, we know for a fact, I can't speak for everything this is done for, but it is a known fact that, like, hackers.
That's exactly like the one I was going to use for
if you're a good enough hacker, like a crazy enough hacker, like, instead of like going to prison, the government's like, you work for me now.
That's exactly right. If you're really good at hacking things and just like modifying things and coding things and stuff like that, sure, what you did to get those abilities and what you did while using those abilities might have been wrong, but there's talent there. They don't ignore that talent. And that's exactly what Cecil's saying. He's like, listen, I get it. That Sinclair guy who fucked with Mark's gay best friend's boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't remember that guy's name, but he's not.
He's a background character.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. It's just like all the characters in Solo Leveling. But I do think that while he's angry about, oh, that guy's on a loose, like after what he did to me, after what he did to all those people, he killed all those people, turned them into these zombie things, which is definitely wrong. He killed a lot of people. I get it. Darkwing also killed a lot of people. I get it. But I also get, and maybe I wouldn't feel this way, obviously, if it happened to somebody close to me, but I also get the idea of these people have now turned their lives over for good and they're trying to atone for it. And sure, it will never bring those people back, but now they're doing good and they can do a lot of good because of how good they are at, I guess, bad shit.
Yeah.
So I like that concept. It's hypocritical in a way. Conundrum. Yeah, exactly. It is an interesting conundrum for sure, because it basically says that no one is irredeemable. And I think that that's something that humans, especially in the world of cancel culture that we live in now, like somebody will tweet something 10 years ago and then it'll get brought up now and we will try to like end their current career over something they said 10 years ago. It's like, bro, first of all, that's a comedian. Second of all, do you think that the person that wrote that 10 years ago is the exact same person now? Do you think that, because if that's the case, then you are saying that you also haven't grown in 10 years and you haven't changed the way you think in 10 years. So are you either admitting that you yourself you've been stagnant this entire time in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Or are humans capable of change? Like when are people redeemable? Like, I just want to know, are people ever redeemable?
People are redeemable when they mean something to you. That's just what it is.
Oh, that's true.
If it's you yourself or somebody close to you or somebody that you already empathize with, they're redeemable, and you find ways to make excuses for their actions, or you find ways to justify what they're doing or justify their journey, and you figure out how far they've come, and etc. If it's somebody that you're not already endeared to, if it's somebody that you don't already have empathy toward, they are typically, the way a lot of humans are, is they're irredeemable. They find every excuse in a book to say why this person is horrible, etc. And we see it all the time. It's happening right now in America with various different things on all sides of the fence. I mean, it's just the way it is. People will make excuses for the people that are close to them. Like, for example, if, somebody's a criminal and they go to prison, or they get treated unfairly in prison, they go, well, that person's a criminal, they shouldn't have done it.
Yep.
But on the other end, if you like that person, you might vote for them to be president.
I'll use myself or my own family as an example of this. So I'm sure most families or a lot of families in America have this issue as well, but we have had drug addicts in our family, and these drug addicts have definitely done like some pretty bad shit, of course, because they're just not in their right state of mind, right? They're ill, and the drugs, change their chemical makeup and just make them do some really fucked up shit. And so growing up, right, like I had a family member who was addicted to drugs, and I remember my grandmother specifically would always have empathy for them. Like, no matter what, she would always take their side when the entire family's like, fuck her, she's terrible, she stole this, she did that, she left her kids here, she, like, just basically saying everything bad that she did, almost as though these people haven't done anything bad themselves. It might not be as known because they're, not on drugs, so it's not as visible, but everyone has done their shit, everyone has done their shit, but they condemn the drug addict, and they have like no empathy for the drug addict. But my grandmother, who has like always been a very empathetic person in general, always sees like the redemption arc in people. And I've always admired that about her. I wish that I could be more like that, because I can look at people and feel that way about like, this person has no redeeming qualities or whatnot. But you're right, because that person is close, you would be able to look at them and say, yeah, but they still can change. They still can be better. I believe in their better self that's in there. They're not well right now, and the drugs have a hold on them, or whatever excuse or whatnot you can make for them, whatever you want to call it, excuse or not. But for whatever reason, we will have empathy for people in our own families, for people who are our friends when they fuck up. But when it is someone that you don't know at all, or someone that is
the exact same thing,
and you will condemn them for it. And all it takes really is for the person to be basically affiliated with something that you kind of don't like. That could be race, that could be religion, that could be sexuality. Like, I'll see people bash gay people or trans people or whatever for things. And even like, this happens in politics a lot. They'll talk about like rape and murder and molestation of children, and basically try to allude to that's a gay thing or that's a LGBTQ thing, when in reality, like, mathematically, the number of straight people that murder, rape, and molest people is astronomically higher than like any other group of people. So it's like, I don't think that this is a gay thing. I don't think that this is a trans thing. I think that this is literally a human issue. Like, it's not it's not related to any race of people. It's not that black people or Asian people or white people or whatever, or Jewish people or what, like, no particular faith or anything. It's not that this particular group of people has a higher propensity of doing a crime or doing something wrong. Everybody, all humans are capable of doing things.
And when it comes to crime, it's almost always actually related to economics.
Yep. I'm glad you know that.
Like black people don't commit more crime than white people. It's just that black people are disproportionately in more like least favorable economic conditions in America. That said, there's a bunch of really bad economic conditions for white people, and in those areas they tend to have a high crime rate. Like for example, you don't hear about like Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock and fucking Dave Chappelle. Like they're not going around killing people. You know what I mean? Like all of the black,
they might slap each other, but
like they'll slap somebody, right? But like you don't hear about the whole NBA. Like the whole NBA isn't going around killing people, right?
Yeah.
It's not that just black people commit crime.
Tell it to John Morant.
You know.
My man John Morant can't get right. He wants to shoot pistols and fucking all his celebration taunts are just shooting guns and
Alec Baldwin, you know?
Yeah, Alec Baldwin, right. But I get what your point. Yes, your point makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it's just reality, but people have to get out of their own ass and stop thinking that it's everyone's so tribal in this country. America is so fucking tribal within America. Like, yeah, we're all Americans and we're all humans, more importantly than that. And for some reason, now we're so divisive, and I do think the internet has exasperated this whole problem, but it's like, I'm white, you're black. I'm gay, you're straight. I'm Republican, you're Democrat. I'm pro-choice, you're pro-life. And there's all these things just dividing us, and people are picking a tribe. And if you're if you're on an opposite tribe or another tribe, it's carnage. It's hatred for the other party.
It's also easier to be in those tribes because, like, you know, there was a point in time when it wasn't as easy to connect to everybody on the internet.
Yes.
So you would just be in your city. And then, like, even in your city, you end up having tribes. Like, there's tribes at the lunch table in high school.
Always has been.
But you end up having a lot more flexibility in what you accept and what you end up getting along with. But now, because you can find somebody that'll accept you that lives on the other side of the world, and you can just be on the internet and, like, have that guy as part of your team, you're more willing. I feel like people are more willing to like not accept the person that is right next to them.
Yeah.
Because like they can have a bunch of people agree with them even though they don't see them. Anyway,
that's a really good point. The fact that people aren't even willing and open to understand other cultures, other types of people. And that's because they don't feel a need to, because I'm already connected to the people who are echo chamber for me.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Yeah, it's really simple. So yeah, it sucks. But not to go too deep into all of that, still to bring it back to Invincible. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because that's what Cecil's doing and Mark can't understand it and Mark is in that situation. He's like on the road of recovery of forgiving his father. And like these people that Cecil are redeeming are in the same situation, if not way less bad than what Omni-Man did. And Mark can't really bring himself to accept it. Because like he doesn't have any pre-existing emotional, or rather he has a pre-existing emotional attachment to these people, and it's a negative one. So it's even worse than having a neutral. Because like I feel like people tend not to be empathetic for somebody that they have like I don't know who that person is, but they're a criminal. But if it's like that person that you love did the exact same crime, you might be able to forgive it a bit more. In this case, it's even more where these are people that emotionally hurt me or my family.
Yep.
So even more than it being neutral, like he can't forgive it at all, even though it's the exact same situation that he's in with his father. And like Cecil pointed out, he killed Angstrom, even though Angstrom deserved to die.
Oh, 100%.
Mark still killed someone. So, you know.
Yeah, I do like
a lot of nuance to it. It's really cool and interesting.
It makes Mark more human. I like that you said that he has more empathy, obviously, for his dad. He's more understanding with what his dad did. Like, he's willing to hear his dad out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, last season, Dad, like, why did you do what you did? You left me and Mom alone. Like, he's asking questions to get closure and also trying to give his dad basically an out. Because you're really saying there's a combination of words your dad could say that will make you be like, all right, yeah, what you did was wrong, but I'm willing to accept you again. Whereas as soon as the names of Seismic and Sinclair and these other people are brought up, he's like, absolutely not. Those people fucking kill people. They're horrible. They're irredeemable. There's no rehabilitation for them. How could you let them ever work? Blah, 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 blah. Just going off the rails. It's like, okay, relax. And that's what Cecil's just like, yo, calm down. Let's talk about this. I don't want to talk. It's like, oh my God, fucking angsty teenagers, bro. I hate them.
Crazy.
Angsty teenagers with powers.
But, I guess on to like the finale of the first 4 episodes. We and they trickle this out throughout the season. Like there's a little bit of it, but yeah, Alan the alien is OD and he's in this prison, and we get to kind of see what happens with Omni-Man and Alan and the Viltrumites, and them trying to kill Alan, and
they've been trying to kill Alan or really understand how he's so strong, because they remember that he got 0 diffs before by Viltrumite, by Nissa, I believe. And now all of a sudden, he's like able to just tank all of their technology and stuff. And they don't really get it. So naturally, Viltrumites study whatever they don't understand. So they've been taking him in the rooms every day and lasering him and doing all types of tests and shit on him, which Omni-Man told him, like, this is what's about to happen to you. You won't just leave. Like, you could break out right now, leave. They're going to keep trying, and eventually they're going to kill you. And I'm just warning you, this is how my people are, and they do not change. I love that Omni-Man is just very, very blunt about, I know who my people are. I know what they're like. I know how they think, more importantly, because Omni-Man is a high-ranking general in the Viltrumite Empire. Like, he is one of the higher-ups. I like that he's not some fucking foot soldier.
No, he's like the guy.
He's the guy. And so they respect him a lot, too. Even the guy who's charged with doing his execution. You could tell he doesn't want to do it. You could tell that he's trying his hardest to give Omni-Man as many outs as he can. He keeps on being like, Nolan this, Nolan that. Just saying everything he can to be like, why'd you do what you did? You could all... Basically, if you swear your fealty back to Viltrum, we will let you back in the fold. And at first, you might think, oh, maybe it's because they just love him so much. He was just that revered, and he's that cool of a guy that, damn, it would suck to have Nolan, our great Nolan, be a bad guy. What it really is that there are less than 50 pure blood Viltrumites in the universe.
Yeah, they're actually on their way out.
They're on their way out. They can't afford to have someone as great as Nolan be on the other side. Like, it's actually very bad.
Pretty big reveal. I mean, it makes sense with how cutthroat their society is, I guess. But I am really interested in when we get the full explanation is like why there's only 50 of them left, or less than 50 of them left. Like, what is why are there so few of them? I mean, you can point to it like they killed each other. They did a bunch of that. They're pretty ruthless. They had a lot of things where they would kill each other. And then they also have this really big thing of like not breeding with lessers.
Yeah.
Like there's crazy races like, the crime of breeding with lessers and all this shit. They still
consider it a crime too, right? Didn't they say that to Nolan these 4 episodes? They were like, you made a fucking child with a lesser species or something.
Yeah. I think, if I remember correctly how they explain it, I actually think they explain it in season 2. They're fine with Mark. Their thing is like, as long as you look like a Viltrumite, if you look humanoid enough, that's fine. Because that's why he said there's less than 50 pure blood Viltrums. But they have kids with like other species, as long as they're like close enough to what a Viltrum is. But like his son Oliver, that's considered a crime because he had that kid with like a fucking cockroach. And so like that one is considered like way too lesser. Like they can't have kids.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because you're white, but the way you said that just had a certain sting to it. That just had a certain sting to it, Kenny. Like,
I don't know,
man. That just... did y'all feel that? I kind of got like a cold sweat.
Y'all didn't feel shit. Y'all didn't feel shit.
I just got like a fucking, just the way you said that, it just had an oomph to it. It had an oomph that I don't think I'm capable of giving. That I think only a white man could give that oomph that you just gave to that cockroach or just like that. But yeah, he did have a baby with an insect. Factually, like you're not wrong. It's just the way you said
I'm saying.
The way you said it. Oh god.
I'm just reciting.
Yeah. But no, it is interesting because they can repopulate, the world or the universe with other half Viltrumites, whatever. Although not every single race is allowed to be mated with, I guess. But I think I'm having a hard time. I know they're going to explain it. So bear with us because right now we're only 4 episodes into the season. I know they're going to explain this at some point. I don't understand how they could be going extinct, though. Just thinking about their race. They live for thousands of years. We know that for a fact.
Because I think they just kill each other because we know that they ruthlessly, like, for example, the tradition they have right here where they're executing Nolan.
Yeah,
that's a tradition. Whether or not right now they're like hoping he can find a way out of it so they don't have to execute him.
Yeah,
that's a tradition that they have. They ruthlessly execute each other. So I think it's more so just like they kept just executing each other. Like, it was the opposite problem Thanos had. Yeah. Like, they had no problem fucking killing each other off.
There's enough resources to go around.
They were just getting rid of each other.
Resources are not a problem. We have plenty.
No.
But here's my counter argument to that. I'm not understanding how they're not procreating with each other, though. I think that there's something to do with that. Because, okay, yeah, we kill each other, right? But, like, we kill each other after we live for hundreds or thousands of years or whatnot. In that time span, though, we just fuck. We just make children. So I'm missing something is wrong with them having children with each other, I think. That's my assumption because I don't see how a species of basically free rens of elves, right? They're super powerful. They live forever. All they got to do is have sex. So what's the disconnect? Are they like elves in a because elves and free ren are kind of a rarity too, but they explain it. Elves don't have romantic relationships in free ren.
It might be
usually.
This is us just guessing. It might be that they have a longer incubation period. For example, Oliver was born very quickly.
Yeah.
Oliver, because of the way his mother works, her species works, he was born very quickly and he's growing very quickly. Mark was born in the incubation period of a kind of like a human, 9 months, and he's growing like a normal human. It might be that the Viltrumite incubation period's like 100 years. Maybe like when a woman gets pregnant, she's pregnant for like 100 years or something crazy like that.
I think it does have to do something with their baby, like their birth rates, which is funny because right now in real life, we're dealing with a birthing crisis as well. Like for people who don't know, so you might have seen this about Japan, but it's just true for the whole world right now, except I think like Africa. Every country outside of the continent of Africa, every country essentially is having an issue where babies are just not being born at a good rate at all to replace, not only just to replace the workforce, but just in general. Like people are just not having children around the world, and
can't afford it.
It is a really bad thing. It's crippling Japan. In fact, their society is like doing really, 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 really bad in terms of birth rate. And it's a crisis. It's like a quiet crisis because eventually there won't be enough people to operate the country if they just still aren't having kids. And apparently in Japan, they just do not really have children. And people are wondering, well, why is that? And some of the things are like in Japan, they tend to be overworked. So they're stressed out a lot of times with just like their work-life balance is not. So Japan is a society. It's beautiful, right? It's a very beautiful place. They have like no guns. I think it's the second safest country in the entire world next to Denmark. I think Denmark is number 1 and then Japan is number 2. And then sometimes they flip back and forth between which country is the safest in the entire world I'm talking about, by the way. So that's a feat in itself. But yeah, guns are banned. They have a very, very, very low like murder rate, homicide rate, stuff like that. So they have all of these things that are like, oh, this is really cool. But then there are things like the cost of living, the work-life balance is really bad. And there's other toxic things that deal with like how men in that society and in that culture perceive the women and things like that. I won't really get into that. You can research it on your own because I don't want to spread misinformation. But essentially, they're not having children for multiple different reasons. And the same thing is happening here. And I talk about this a lot. Most of my friends don't have children. And at this rate, I think that's just how it's going to be because we really just either can't afford to have children or genuinely don't want to have children because we are enjoying our own lives selfishly, but call it what you want. I don't even think it's because I don't think you can consider somebody selfish for not wanting to procreate because they haven't had the child yet. I think it's only selfish when you have the child
and then neglect it.
And you neglect it to have your life still because when you do have a child, you kind of do have to sacrifice. You should sacrifice your life to have the child or whatnot. And I know we're off on a tangent right now, but I just wanted to bring this up because I'm wondering if they're alluding to the Viltrumites having this type of issue where for whatever reason, I don't know what it could be if the women just feel like they're so warrior-like or something silly like that, or if it's something more elaborate, like Kenny said, incubation period of how long it takes for a Viltrumite woman to actually bear a child. But for whatever reason, 50 in the entire universe, or I'm sorry, less than 50 in the entire universe, and they just killed 2 of them, by the way. I still have to wonder, how is that possible? If y'all just have sex, you will procreate like every other species. So
it might be why. It might even be why they started like a universal conquest to begin with.
Yeah,
there might have been something that happened before. Maybe they killed each other too much, or whatever. Or maybe there was a cataclysmic incident.
Yeah,
but the reason why they're expanding in the universe might be because of that, because there were so few of them, and so they had to procreate and like expand their empire that way by like because they're still strong enough to just take planets over, and then like they do that, and it's under the guise of this, but they're really just trying to like keep their lineage alive in some way, shape, or form.
Maybe they literally can't. Like now, maybe something happened, and they literally cannot have pure blood Viltrumites anymore. They can only have like subspecies or whatever you want to call it, half breeds.
Yeah, there might be. I don't know if this will go this one. I just me and my brain just thought of this. It might be a really cool plot line though, like there's like a relatively young, like pure blood Viltrumite, and he's like the last Viltrum. Like I can see that being like a plot line. Like and he's like the prince or whatever, and he's like and he gets regarded because he's like the last one. I don't know. I'm just
something. Yeah, I mean, I can see all of those happening. I will
say this. I just wanted to say this real quick. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That wolf guy is crazy. The lion guy.
Oh yeah, from season 1.
He's actually OD. because I remember when I was just like, all right, he's strong or whatever, but like I don't understand. He was one of the guys where I got annoyed that Mark was getting fucked up because Mark gets fucked up by everybody.
Yeah,
and I was like, this lion guy doesn't know what he's getting himself into. But no, them motherfuckers can get busy.
In season 1, when he zero diffed Mark like really, really bad, and then we found out that Omni-Man was watching the entire time. You remember that?
Yeah.
Omni-Man was like floating above the building, looking down, angry. He saw that lion thing beat the shit out of his son and beat the shit out of everybody else, and then dip. And he never thought to step in. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder how that thing would fare against a Viltrumite. Or like at the time, I don't think I knew what a Viltrumite was, but like how it would fare against Omni-Man.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like that race, whatever it is, might be relatively on par with them. And clearly they
can get busy.
Clearly,
they
whatever they are likes to fight. All it cares about is fighting. It was about to kill Alan the alien because they thought that it lied to him. He was like, you don't have honor.
Yeah, he's right. He wants to fight. He was like, I hope you kill me. He was like, because then I'll have like an honorable death. He talking to the Viltrumite.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He was like, oh, 2-on-1. This is awesome. Like them guys can get it in. They're crazy.
It's like they took the idea of a Saiyan and made it more extreme. It was like a more extreme version of a Saiyan. Like, yeah, Saiyans like to fight.
They were wild.
But that thing was only focused on that one thing. That one aspect of life was like, I live just to fight. Like, I don't live for anything else but to fight. And it can fight.
Yeah, and I think there's one of those in like that council.
I think so too. Yep.
I think, there's one of those there. So, I mean, they have a chance. If there's only, let's say, let's just use the number 50. If there's only 50 left, you train up Mark, you got Oliver, you get Omni-Man, you get Alan, just, by the way, they better have somebody in the tuck for Alan, because Alan doesn't seem like he's beatable. Like
I am dying. He said somebody in the tuck for Alan. Damn.
He's not beatable.
No, he's not.
He at no point in time was worried.
Yep.
Like he was getting his ass kicked. He was like, "Oh help! Oh I'm dying! Oh no, Nolan! Oh, no, I'm gonna die!"
Mind you, the Viltrumite was teeing off on his face. Like it was teeing off on his absolute face. I don't care how strong I am. If you keep hitting me in my fucking face to the point where I can feel my eye swelling up, I'm hitting you back. There's no amount of holding back that I could have where I'm not going to eventually hit you back. Yeah, you're right. They need somebody in the
Alan didn't give not one fuck, yo.
Even
Anissa, who we knew Anissa is broken.
She's very strong.
In season 2, Anissa beats the shit out of him, and then when she flies away, she thinks she like knocked him unconscious. He like opens his eye and smirks. She's like, heh. Like he's unbothered.
I think he had an internal thought too. He said, "Oh, that didn't hurt as much as I thought it would."
Yeah,
like when he first got hit by her, he was scared. He like did a little like flinch moment, and she hit him.
Yeah,
and he was like, "That didn't hurt like it did last time," because she fucked him up before, and he felt it obviously. But I mean, he had a near death experience literally. But then this time when he got fucked up, or not even fucked up, when he got hit, he was like, that didn't feel painful at all. And then this season, Nolan was like, why'd you let them whip your ass like that? And he was like, oh, I was hoping that you come around. He's like, they would have killed you. He's like, yeah, I know, but I just still let it happen. Nolan's like, you're a fucking
unbothered
idiot, bro. Like you're an idiot.
Absolutely.
He's like, they would have killed you, right? Like that Viltrumite would have never stopped hitting you until you weren't a thing.
He's like, oh well, we would have found out. Found out. So I don't know what the Viltrums have in the tuck for Alan, but Alan's a problem.
Alan he can take on a couple of them, so you're right about that. Alan, so there's 50. You named Oliver, you named Mark, you named Nolan, you named Alan. I'm hoping Adam Eve becomes relevant. I think that her powers are ridiculous. I think that they're showing her going through training arcs for a reason. I think that she's going to kill a Viltrumite, which will be a huge feat for anybody that's not a Viltrumite or not Alan, apparently. That beast thing, that race of people is clearly a problem. They might be a legit threat to Viltrumites in general. And then there's probably other stuff that we don't even know about yet, because there was that whole sequence of books that I think Nolan wrote.
Yep.
And they were speculating that those weren't just fictional stories. They're actually real adventures that Nolan went on, and they encountered things that can actually beat Viltrumites.
Yep. So really cool stuff. I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm so curious. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I am curious if like how far Invincible goes after like the Viltrum storyline. Like, does everything happen and it ends with like the end of this Viltrum storyline, or is there going to be? Because like I can't imagine what's the next big bad after like the
what's the next conflict?
I mean? Like I don't know what happens next. I mean, there's no way to know. I'm just going to ride this out. I'm enjoying watching it. But yeah, Same. It was cool. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the first half of our discussion on season 3. We will be doing a part 2 once we watch the next 4 episodes. And we'll be having a special guest on that podcast episode. We have an optional boss from our Patreon who joined to just talk about, he wanted to specifically talk about the second half of the season. So now that we've covered the first half, we will be covering the second half soon. And yeah, we'll have a third person on the podcast, which we haven't had a guest in a little while. So it'll be nice to have a third person in here to just talk about Invincible, since they love it a lot. And to give a little bit more of a hint, they are a returning guest. I don't know if that will mean anything to anybody, but at least narrows the list down by a couple billion. So there you go. And with that being said, why don't we give a shout out to the people on our Patreon? I mean, am I wrong? It narrows it down
you're not wrong.
It narrows it down by several billion people. So, all right. Anyway, we have Ready for the Arc Tempered, Nova Leo, Stand Ready for My Rival Worm, Xavier Swift, This Ain't God, It's a Stanley Earl, The Sultan of Slot, You Can Get Cooked in Any Format, Omri Reynolds, Dennis Milburn, First to Arise, Vincenzo, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Fair Bear Flash, Sarah Maria, Alex Ahern, Murray won the Jaizaras, He's Not Lying, Trying to Get Flued Out, Gore's in My Prison Pocket, Sugal, Vicky Venomon, Elijah Barfoth, Tyro Tadeo, Volvi the Mega Monarch, Fun Fact, Joel is a hoe. Or maybe that's, Joel. I think that says Joel, or maybe it says Joel. Joel is a hoe. Janitor 215, Thomas Rue, Joshua Carroll, Eric Chai, Brian Moore, This Ain't God, This is City Councilman Eric Mays, Mike and John, and then we have
Tim Bailey's Glazed Smooth Butt, Nod Win, B-Dog 23, Hershey Bar, Phil Impoister, Tyler Frasher, Sasha Egger, Daniel Anderson, Deroa, Chicken Toaster Strudel, Jordan Eastman, Robert Light, Trainee Joey 182, Clanger, Pavinci, Travis Lurs, Steam Deck Over Switch 2, HT19, Gregory Calmaring, Lit Biscuit Jigsaw, Mike and John, Frago, Anthony Japov, Michael Zhang, Konjik, Tyler, Neos is my alias, Chris Louie, Bob Cuddy, Kevin Garcia, Teth Adam, Time Wizard 942, Kevin Garcia, and Luis Juarez.
Thank you guys so much for your support. We really, really appreciate it. And I think that's everything, guys. As I always say, do the things that make you happy, including enjoying Invincible. Although it is not perfect by any means, still a very, very good show. And if you listen to this podcast and you haven't started this show yet, you probably should go to season 1 and just watch episode 1. I think you'll be hooked from there.
I agree.
Peace.
Peace.